You ever notice how some people accept love with hesitation, like it's a gift they didn't earn? They smile when someone says, "I love you," but deep down, there's a flicker of disbelief in their eyes. They question every compliment, analyze every silence, and prepare for the moment when affection disappears. You can see it in how they shrink when someone gets too close, as if love were something dangerous. For them, love isn't warmth. It's a test they've already decided they're going to fail. It's not that they don't want to be loved. In fact, they crave it more than anything. But craving and believing are not the same thing. When someone feels unworthy of love, they can be surrounded by people who care deeply about them and still feel alone. That emptiness doesn't come from lack of love around them. It comes from the lack of love within them. Somewhere in their story, they learned a painful lesson. I'm not enough to be loved simply for who I am. And that belief, once it takes root, changes everything. It shapes the way they see themselves, the way they relate to others, and the way they move through life. Psychology calls this a core wound, a deep subconscious imprint formed in childhood. Sometimes it begins in obvious pain, rejection, neglect, or abandonment. Other times it's quieter. Parents who provided everything except emotional safety, words of criticism disguised as tough love, or a constant message, spoken or not, that affection must be earned. Slowly, love became a currency, and they learned that to receive it, they must perform. As adults, that performance continues. You'll see them trying harder than anyone in the room. They're the overachievers, the caretakers, the fixers. They're kind, responsible, and endlessly giving. But beneath all of that effort lies one fragile hope. Maybe if I give enough, someone will finally stay. They wear confidence like armor, but inside, they're terrified. Because every accomplishment feels temporary. Every connection feels conditional. Their mind whispers, if they really knew me, they'd leave. That's the cruel paradox of feeling unworthy of love. The people who deserve it most are often the ones who cannot let it in. They sabotage good relationships, chase emotionally unavailable partners, or keep one foot out the door just in case. Not because they want to be alone, but because safety feels like distance. They confuse peace with boredom, consistency with danger, and affection with obligation. To them, love isn't safe. It's unfamiliar. It's strange how the brain works. When you grow up without consistent emotional affirmation, your nervous system adapts. It learns that closeness equals risk. It's like touching a hot stove too many times. Eventually, you stop reaching out. You convince yourself you're better off without it. You call it independence, maturity, or emotional control. But underneath, there's a voice saying, "Don't need anyone. It hurts less that way." That's not strength. That's survival. And survival rewires you. People who feel unworthy of love develop hyper-awareness. They can read a person's tone, micro-expressions, and moods instantly because they had to. They learned early that love could change without warning, so they became experts in detecting rejection before it happened. That vigilance might have protected them as kids, but now it turns love into an exhausting guessing game. A text left on seen becomes proof of indifference. A neutral face feels like rejection. They don't need drama. Just silence is enough to trigger the old panic. I must be done something wrong. But let's get one thing straight. Feeling unworthy of love doesn't mean being broken. It means your body and brain are still protecting you from a pain that once felt unbearable. See, the human brain learns through experience. If love once came mixed with disappointment or criticism, your nervous system remembers. It starts to associate affection with anxiety. So when someone loves you now, your body reacts as if danger's coming. Not because it is, but because it used to be. That's why people with this wound often struggle to relax in relationships. Even when things are good, they wait for the fall. If someone cancels plans, they spiral. If a partner seems distant, they assume it's their fault. They replay every word, trying to find what they did wrong. What they don't realize is that they reliving an old pattern, one where love was always conditional. You can tell who carries this wound by how they speak about themselves. They'll say, "I'm too much," or "I'm not enough." Sometimes both in the same breath. They'll apologize for existing, for asking, for feeling. They'll give without limits, but struggle to receive. And when someone finally shows them real love, steady, patient, unconditional, they don't trust it. They wait for the catch. They mistake comfort for a trap. Some people hide this feeling behind perfectionism. They believe if they can just be perfect enough, they'll finally be loved right. So they keep fixing, improving, pushing themselves until exhaustion. But perfectionism isn't a love language, it's a defense mechanism. It says, if I never make mistakes, they'll have no reason to leave. But love built on fear of rejection isn't love, it's control. Others hide behind cynicism. They say things like, "Love's overrated," or "people always leave." They pretend they don't care because caring feels like weakness. But behind every "I don't care," there's a heart that once cared too much and got hurt. Detachment becomes protection. Distance feels like safety. There's another kind too, the ones who love too much. They overgive, overextend, overforgive. They find people who need fixing and call it destiny. They mistake pain for passion. Because deep down, love that doesn't hurt feels unfamiliar. It's a tragic pattern. The unloved become the overlovers, and in their generosity, they forget themselves. But here's the truth psychology teaches us. Love isn't something you earn. It's something you allow. The hardest part about healing this wound isn't finding someone who loves you. It's believing you're allowed to keep that love without performing for it. That's where real growth begins. Healing starts with awareness. When you catch yourself doubting someone's affection, pause. Ask, is this about them or about me? Often the fear doesn't belong to the present moment. It belongs to the child version of you who once reached out and got nothing back. That part of you still lives inside, waiting to be seen, waiting for someone, maybe you, to say, "You're enough." And it's not easy. Healing this pattern feels unnatural at first. Letting people love you without earning it feels wrong. Accepting kindness feels uncomfortable. Compliments make you nervous. You'll want to push people away just to feel safe again. That's okay. Healing isn't pretending the wound doesn't exist. It's learning to hold it gently without letting it define you. Neuroscience shows that emotional rewiring happens through repetition and safety, meaning you don't heal by thinking differently. You heal by experiencing differently. Every time you let love in and nothing bad happens, your nervous system updates. Every time someone stays and you allow it, your body learns that love can be safe. Over time, this rewiring transforms your relationships. You stop chasing people who treat you like a burden. You stop over-apologizing for being human. You stop assuming love must be earned. You begin to understand that affection doesn't mean danger, it means connection. And that's when life starts to soften. For many, the turning point comes in quiet moments. Late at night, when the noise fades, and you finally hear your own thoughts. You realize that the love you have been searching for from others is the love you have been withholding from yourself. That the approval you craved was never about them. It was about finally giving yourself permission to exist as you are. That's what healing really is. Unlearning self-rejection. It's not becoming someone new. It's remembering who you were before the world taught you you weren't enough. You start talking to yourself with the kindness you reserve for everyone else. You say things like, "I don't have to earn rest. I don't have to prove I'm lovable." And slowly, your body begins to believe it. The walls you built don't crumble, they soften. It's strange, but as you begin to believe you deserve love, your world changes. Not because the people around you change, but because your perception does. You stop chasing chaos. You start valuing peace. You realize that the right people will never make you question your worth. And those who do? They stop feeling like home. At some point, you'll look back and see how much energy you once spent trying to be lovable, and you'll realize you were all along. You just needed to see yourself the way love would. And maybe that's what all of this is about. The psychology of people who feel unworthy of love isn't about weakness. It's about resilience. It's about hearts that refuse to close even after being hurt. It's about people who learned love the hard way and still choose to love anyway. Because here's the secret. If you've ever felt unworthy of love, that means you understand love on a deeper level. You know its absence. You know its ache. You know its silence. And that awareness gives your love a kind of purity the world rarely sees. So, to anyone listening who has ever doubted their worth, who has ever felt too broken, too much, or too hard to love, please understand this. Your worth isn't negotiable. It never was. The love you think you need to earn has been yours since the beginning. It's waiting inside you, quiet but constant, ready to be remembered. Because you are not unworthy of love. You are love learning to see itself again.